Hello everyone, welcome back to the Film Insight channel. I'm filling in for my cousin this week, and in today's video we're going to cover bar rescue owners that fans hated. So sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's get straight into the content, guys. We're starting things off with the owner from Kid Chilleen's Badass Barbecue Steakhouse. Arizona's Black Canyon City, with fewer than 3,000 residents, is home to Kid Chilleen's Badass Barbecue. While Scott and Donna Chilleen, who owned the bar, were almost always wasted, it was their daughter Aaliyah who stepped up and took charge. Despite the influx of tourists because of improper management, the Kid Chilleen's Badass Barbecue that featured in Season 3 was running at a loss. John Taffer was joined by mixologist Russell Davis to help rescue the bar. While customers received complimentary shots, the overall atmosphere was unsettling. Out here, it wasn't just the patrons who got drunk. The owners and the employees joined the party as well, and were almost always high. During the recon, the spy said the food had too much sauce and that it tasted awful. It was found that the owners and employees consumed as much as 16 beverages during the recon. When Taffer arrived, the owners were intoxicated, and poor Aaliyah was desperately trying to control the situation. Aaliyah revealed that the financial situation was pretty grim, and they had in fact already declared bankruptcy. Getting owners Scott and Donna sober was Taffer's top priority. He warned them to stay away from drinks, as that would be the only way he can help them out of their situation. It had taken 10 long years for the troubled couple to seek help, and Taffer didn't want the effort to go in vain. The following day, Taffer meets up with the staff and finds that the bartender Yum Yum was missing. He also discovers that Donna had absolutely no memory of meeting him the previous night. Taffer calls upon J.B. Brown, a barbecue master, to help him revamp the establishment. While Brown trained the cooks on how to prepare authentic barbecue sauce, the staff was required to clean the bar. To ensure that the owners lived up to their promise, Taffer administered a breathalyzer test on both of them. Thankfully, it turned out to be favorable. Yum Yum returns right before the stress test starts, and Russell walks her through a 5-minute procedure. During the stress test, each of them were assigned specific roles. Scott was named manager, Donna would be the host, and Aaliyah was the head bartender. While Donna was tempted to shoot shots with other patrons, Yum Yum abruptly left the kitchen after screwing up one of the drinks. Taffer also notices that most of the food was returned to the kitchen, and a few guests complained about improper seasoning. In the end, Taffer congratulates and thanks Donna for refraining from her temptation, and in turn rewards her with a smoker machine. Taffer feels so sorry for the owners that he goes the extra mile to sort out Donna and Scott's drinking problem. He takes them to a counselor that specializes in addiction. He then makes changes in the menu and only keeps the brisket, chicken, and ribs. He also renamed Kid Chilleen's Badass Barbecue to Chilleen's on 17. From a pot-belly stove in the kitchen to cowboy sayings displayed on the wall, there were several upgrades undertaken in both the interior and the exterior of the bar. The relaunch turns out to be a smashing success, with the bar running at full capacity. The staff too gave it their best, and customers were overjoyed with receiving hot, fresh out of the oven food. 2 months on, sales at Chilleen's on 17 increased substantially, and the owners seem to be in a better financial situation. Although the bar is still open and serving, most reviews slam the bar for its subpar service quality. One of the Yelp reviews read, "I would not recommend. Some menu items may be substandard. Larger groups may suffer quality issues." Moving on to the next owner, from RG's Lounge in Independence, Missouri. Taffer visited RG's Lounge, owned by twins Randy and Rick, in Independence, Missouri. Rick had previously worked as a weekend bartender at the same bar, but after getting himself a 9-to-5 job, he put his brother Randy in charge of the business. The twins had a driving charisma that propelled the business success in the earlier days. However, the time differences between the two brothers got the better of them. What seemed to be friendly jabs soon grew into under-the-belt strikes that increased the tension between them. They had reached a point where they couldn't even talk to each other. But despite their rivalry, customers were drawn to their personalities. But how long can they go as partners? Eventually, the business was hit. The two often broke into verbal spats that made both the bartenders and their customers uncomfortable. With declining footfalls and debts amounting to $139,000, the brothers had begun blaming each other for losing $5,000 every month. The two brothers were so invested in their own issues that they had turned a blind eye on the business. There was just one service station, and it was so filthy that the spirit bottles had fruit flies in them. They were so outdated that they did not even have a single POS system. It was Rick's son Tyler who made the call to Bar Rescue. Taffer arrives with Selena Tio, a master chef, and Mia Mastriani, a master mixologist, for the recon. The exterior of the bar looked like it needed a major upgrade. It looked dated, and Tyler explained that this is how it had always been. Tyler goes on to play Taffer a recording of his father and uncle arguing. He also informs him that only elderly people attend the bar and that the staff were incompetent. Taffer ropes in Rachel, a local, to be his spy. It takes a whole 10 minutes before Rachel is served. She had requested a fruity beverage. In its place, she received a warm beer. The CCTV meanwhile captures the chef wiping his mouth with a napkin and then wiping the counter with the same fabric. The stove he used was covered with grease and filth. The sandwich was so bad that Rachel immediately returned it after a quick bite. At around the same time, a drunk woman begins to throw a fit. Instead of removing her from the premises, she was offered more beer and shots. While the owner just looked on, Taffer knew that he had to control the situation. He jumps in and cuts the woman off for her own safety. He then confronts Randy for his reckless behavior. The following day, the staff complained to Taffer about the rivalry between the twins and how it was jeopardizing their jobs. Taffer sits down for a chat with the two brothers individually and then discovers that their mother had left the whole inheritance to Rick, and this was the root cause of their rivalry. Now that the cause of the rift was known, Taffer decides to go ahead with the stress test. He introduces 3 new bartenders who would compete with the veterans to prepare some straightforward cocktails. The service turned out to be an overwhelming experience due to the lack of a ticketing system, lack of order, and clarity. While the cook and the bartenders tried to give it their best, Rick and Randy were occupied in avoiding each other. The following day, Taffer reprimands Randy for bad-mouthing Rick and is disgusted with their lack of communication. Tyler, the mole, sits down to explain how important it was for the twins to get along and reveals the adverse impact that the enmity had on the bar. The brothers finally agree to settle their differences. The bar was relaunched as Barcode, and it received a modern upgrade on both the inside and outside. Several gaming consoles, a POS system, and an improved beer tap system were installed. 6 weeks after taping the episode, food and beverage sales were up 37%. However, the bar received a poor food safety score on Yelp. Despite Taffer's efforts, it had a 2-star rating on Yelp and just 4 reviews. In October of 2016, Barcode was permanently shut down. Moving on to our last entry for today, involving the owner from the Chicken Bone in Framingham. The Massachusetts-based Chicken Bone, owned by Bill Rodenheiser, was featured in Season 1 of Bar Rescue. Rodenheiser, who formerly owned a prosperous excavation business, bought the bar despite having no previous experience in the food and beverage industry. He was so confident that he opened another establishment in Boston. Nevertheless, after just 5 months of operation, the facility started to fail. Rodenheiser was beginning to feel the heat from his sinking business and had to relocate his family from a beautiful 3-bedroom home into a modest unit to cut his costs. Additionally, he did not have any faith in Jeff, his general manager. In fact, Rodenheiser was so stubborn that Taffer had to fight and amend his books to save the bar. Chicken Bone was an L-shaped bar and was 42,000 square feet in size. The interior looked very untidy and had probably not been cleaned in years. Nicole, Taffer's wife, finds the menu to be very perplexing. It didn't help that it had several mistakes in it. However, she places an order for buffalo mac and cheese. Since the restaurant welcomes families, fewer people frequent the pub. The food, however, was the real issue. The buffalo mac and cheese almost instantly makes Nicole queasy and gives her heartburn. The following day, Taffer arranges a meeting with the staff. Despite receiving $200,000 a year in revenue, the bar was still in the red. According to Rodenheiser, the chefs are not entitled to all the recipes and do not even know them all. Because of his arrogance, he wasn't even ready to make modifications to improve his business. This place was in a desperate need of help, but Rodenheiser didn't agree. Anyhow, to assist with the rescue, Taffer calls in Michael Tips, a seasoned bartender, and Spike Mendelsohn, a chef. Upon further inspection, many more issues surfaced. There were rats behind the bar, which is a serious safety hazard. The kitchen was filthy, and the walk-in refrigerator had rotting poultry. Taffer notices that the bartenders gave out drinks that were really strong once Rodenheiser left the premises. There was a lot to be rectified at the bar, which also included the owner's rotten attitude. While Chef Spike suggested knocking off half the dishes from the menu, Taffer informed Rodenheiser that a family-friendly bar would not work. Nobody would want kids running around while they want to chill out at the end of the day. Taffer's suggestion to rename the bar was met with Rodenheiser's strong disapproval. However, Taffer had his way, and he convinces the hard-headed owner to have faith and confidence in him. The bar went from being called the Chicken Bone to the Bone, Chicken and Tunes. According to Taffer, Chicken Bone did not sound like a high-end eatery. Given how similar the new name is to the previous name, Rodenheiser came to accept it, and so did his family. While the Bone rode on success for a few years, it didn't last very long. The owners posted a message on their Facebook page saying that the bar would remain closed for the entire summer season. They, however, assured their clientele that they would reopen. A few months later, they posted another message saying they weren't ready and were facing a delay. The business suffered quite a bit, and in November of 2014 it was sold to new owners who opened a Mexican restaurant at the location. But soon that too shuttered. In 2020, a real estate website listed the property for $1.9 million, but there is no confirmation of any buyers yet. With that, we've sadly come to the end of the video. Have you visited any of these bars? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give us a like and share. Also, hit the subscribe button to never miss out on our updates. Thanks for watching, guys.